In international relations, silence can speak louder than words. Sometimes what isn't said, or what happens quietly in the background, can have the most profound impact on the world stage. Picture this: a sleek private jet, reportedly linked to Qatar, touches down quietly in Hargeisa, the capital of Somaliland. There are no journalists waiting, no official statements, no fanfare, just a silent arrival that goes almost unnoticed by the outside world. To the casual observer, it might seem like just another routine flight, blending in with the daily rhythm of airport life. But within diplomatic circles, this single landing is anything but ordinary. It's a signal, one that instantly sparks speculation, whispers, and concern among those who watch the region closely. Why would a Qatari jet come here, to a territory that the world's major powers don't officially recognize? What message is being sent, and to whom? Diplomats from Washington to Abu Dhabi are left wondering, is this the beginning of a new alliance? Are secret negotiations underway, hidden from public view? Or is this simply a test, a probe to see how the world will react? For Somaliland, a region that has lived in isolation for decades, the arrival of this jet is more than just a visit. It's a symbol, one that hints at hope, at the possibility of recognition, and at a future where their voice might finally be heard on the world stage. For Somaliland's neighbors, however, this unexpected arrival introduces a new and unpredictable variable into an already volatile region. It threatens to upset the fragile balance of power, raising questions and anxieties about what might come next. This single event, seemingly small, forces us to look beyond the headlines. It's a reminder that the real game of diplomacy is often played in the shadows, with subtle chess moves that can reshape the entire Horn of Africa. This is about far more than one airplane. It's about the ambitions of Somaliland, the expanding reach of Qatar, and the deep rivalries and shifting alliances that define this complex region. To truly understand the meaning behind this jet's arrival, we must first explore Somaliland's unique and precarious position, a story shaped by history, hope, and the constant search for legitimacy. Somaliland is not Somalia. Though the world often lumps them together, Somaliland has charted its own path, distinct in history, culture, and ambition. Since 1991, Somaliland has built its own government, established a functioning military, introduced its own currency, and held multiple democratic elections, demonstrating a commitment to stability and self-governance that stands in stark contrast to the turmoil in neighboring Somalia. Yet despite these achievements, no country officially recognizes Somaliland as an independent nation. This leaves Somaliland in diplomatic limbo, a functioning state with its own institutions, but invisible to the world stage. Its passports are not accepted, its voice is absent from international forums, and its flag is rarely seen outside its borders. The lack of recognition blocks access to international finance, development aid, and foreign investment, stifling economic growth and frustrating the ambitions of its people. Entrepreneurs face closed doors, and young professionals often look abroad for opportunities. Yet, against the odds, Somaliland's markets bustle, its cities grow, and its people celebrate a unique identity. The world clings to the idea of a unified Somalia, even as Somaliland thrives on its own terms, forging a separate path. But Somaliland's geography makes it impossible to ignore. It sits on the Gulf of Aden, overlooking the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital global trade route connecting the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. This location gives Somaliland outsized importance on the world stage. Any power with a foothold here gains access to a crucial economic and military corridor, controlling the flow of goods and energy between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. This strategic value turns Somaliland into coveted real estate for global and regional players, drawing the attention of both neighbors and distant powers eager to secure influence in the Horn of Africa. With formal diplomatic channels closed, engagement happens through backroom talks, unofficial visits, and symbolic gestures, like the landing of a Qatari jet or secret meetings in dimly lit rooms. For Somaliland, every such interaction is a step toward legitimacy. For outside powers, it's a low-risk way to gain influence and test the waters in a region that could shape the future of global trade and security. The Qatari jets in Hargeisa aren't random. They're aviation diplomacy in action. In this game, the flight itself is the message, a quiet signal to allies and rivals, with plausible deniability. No official explanations are given, fueling speculation about secret deals or future investments. Qatar's style is to mediate and maintain backchannels, even with conflicting parties. The jets let Qatar explore ties with Somaliland without breaking its official support for Somalia's unity. For Somaliland, each landing is a lifeline, proof that it's being taken seriously. These flights break the psychological barrier of isolation and hint at growing international relevance. The jets carry not just people, but the currency of diplomatic possibility. Qatar's approach in the Horn of Africa stands in stark contrast to the UAE's bold, highly publicized investments in Somaliland, such as the massive development of Berbera port. While the UAE's presence is visible and unmistakable, marked by cranes, ships, and national flags, Qatar's strategy is far more understated, almost invisible to the untrained eye. Instead of grand gestures, Qatar operates in the shadows, relying on low-visibility tactics and behind-the-scenes negotiations to quietly build influence. These moves are designed to avoid drawing attention or provoking open confrontation with regional rivals, allowing Qatar to maneuver with a degree of freedom that louder actors cannot. By engaging Somaliland quietly and maintaining discreet channels with both Hargeisa and Mogadishu, Qatar gains valuable leverage over its rivals. This approach allows it to maintain relationships on both sides of a complex political divide, positioning itself as a potential mediator and a power broker in the region. Critics often call this approach duplicitous or accuse Qatar of playing both sides, but for Doha, it's simply pragmatic statecraft. In a region where alliances shift quickly and unpredictably, maximizing flexibility is not just smart, it's essential for survival. As a small state surrounded by larger, more powerful neighbors, Qatar knows it can't compete with the UAE or Saudi Arabia in terms of overt military or economic power. Instead, it leverages its financial resources and practices sophisticated, nuanced diplomacy to punch above its weight. The quiet jets flying in and out of the region are just one thread in Qatar's intricate web of relationships, deals, and understandings. Each connection is carefully cultivated, often away from the spotlight, to ensure Qatar's interests are protected and advanced. Every move is calculated like a chess master, thinking several steps ahead to enhance Qatar's regional stature and keep all diplomatic options open. This strategic patience is what sets Qatar apart in a neighborhood where boldness often backfires. In the Horn of Africa, where alliances are fragile and the stakes are high, subtlety isn't just a tactic, it's often the most powerful tool a nation can wield. Qatar's Horn of Africa strategy is a delicate balancing act. Officially, it supports Somalia's government in Mogadishu, providing aid and political backing. Simultaneously, it quietly engages Somaliland through backchannels and jet diplomacy. This dual-track approach frustrates Mogadishu, which sees any engagement with Hargeisa as a threat to its sovereignty. Yet Qatar's plausible deniability allows it to explore opportunities in Somaliland without sparking a diplomatic crisis. This balancing act signals to rivals and global powers alike that Qatar is a nimble, indispensable player in the region. By hedging its bets, Qatar ensures it will have a seat at the table, no matter how the region's politics evolve. The Qatari jets aren't delivering arms, they're delivering a message. Their presence signals high-level, sensitive talks and a new level of trust between Doha and Hargeisa. Discussions may cover investments, intelligence sharing, or security cooperation, all under the radar. The flights are also a political trial balloon, testing reactions from Mogadishu, the UAE, Ethiopia, and beyond. For Qatar, it's a low-cost way to gather intelligence and assess the potential for deeper ties. For Somaliland, it's a chance to break isolation and diversify partnerships. The jets are the opening move in a longer, more complex negotiation. Qatar's engagement with Somaliland is part of a larger contest for influence in the Horn of Africa. Every move in Hargeisa sends ripples across the region, forcing rivals to react. The UAE, with its investments in Berbera and ties to Ethiopia, sees Qatar's actions as a direct challenge. Ethiopia, desperate for sea access, watches closely, while Turkey and Egypt back Mogadishu and eye Somaliland's alliances with suspicion. Global powers like the US and China, both with military bases in Djibouti, monitor these shifts, wary of how Gulf rivalries could impact maritime security. Qatar's jet diplomacy is a move on a global chessboard with consequences far beyond the Horn of Africa. In this high-stakes game, every flight matters. As the Qatari jet departs Hargeisa, one thing is clear: Somaliland's isolation is starting to crack. Qatar's quiet diplomacy shows that strategic realities can outweigh formal recognition. The silent arrival of a jet has become a powerful tool for signaling intent and conducting sensitive negotiations. Qatar's mastery of this subtle statecraft is redrawing lines of influence and intensifying Gulf rivalries. Somaliland now finds itself at the center of a new phase of regional competition, both a challenge and an opportunity. The Horn of Africa is entering a more unpredictable era, where every move is scrutinized for hidden meaning. A new form of diplomacy, conducted through whispers and flight paths, is taking hold. The unannounced jet in Hargeisa didn't just land, it opened a new chapter in an old geopolitical game. The story of Qatar's jet in Hargeisa is far from over. As the dust settles on this historic visit, questions linger in the air like contrails across a morning sky. Will Qatar's brand of discreet diplomacy become the new norm for international engagement in contested regions? Or is this just a fleeting maneuver in a much larger game? For Somaliland, the promise and peril of newfound attention is only beginning. Increased diplomatic traffic could bring investment, infrastructure, and a louder voice on the world stage. But it also risks stoking rivalries, drawing Somaliland deeper into complex regional rivalries between Gulf states, and potentially straining its delicate relationship with Mogadishu. Across the Horn of Africa, neighbors watch closely, recalibrating their own strategies. The arrival of a single jet has shown how quickly the regional balance can shift. In the future, we may see more quiet landings, more secret meetings, and more nations seeking influence through subtle signals rather than grand gestures. As new actors enter the scene and old alliances are tested, one thing is certain: the skies over Somaliland and the wider region are more crowded and more consequential than ever before. The next chapter in this unfolding drama will be written not just in official communiques, but in every takeoff and landing that slips quietly beneath the